Hey y'all, how's it going? Today we're going to look at a very simple and effective way to get some altered or out sounds into a one chord jam. So we're going to start off with just two scales, a very simple way to just get that sound in there. Hopefully that you can just get under your fingers really quick. And then after that we'll break down the theory of how we got there, so maybe you can apply this understanding more broadly. But let's jump straight into it. So our at-home sound, or our first scale we're going to look at, probably familiar with, C minor pentatonic. And you'll notice I took that scale all the way up to the G string there, so you have these two extra notes to work with. So there is the C minor pentatonic. I'm sure you're quite familiar with that sound and that shape there. And you'll notice I'm just staying one finger per fret for this. So without having to shift my hand at all, I'm going to check out this other scale now that's coming out of our alt scale, or altered sound. So I'm going to go to C sharp, just a half step from my pentatonic. There's C. Use my second finger to play what is called the Lydian dominant scale. So I'll play that for you. So there's the scale. I'll play it one more time, going up to the G string too, to get those extra notes without having to shift. C sharp Lydian dominant. This is the same as Mixolydian mode, if you're familiar with that scale at all, except it has the sharp 4 in it instead of the regular Mixolydian. Cool sound, like. To start off here, I'm just going to play each of these shapes back and forth with each other, because that's what we're going to do when we start jamming and playing music, is just threading these two scales together. So here's what that looks like. Here's my C minor pentatonic. And then here is my C sharp Lydian dominant. You'll notice I don't have to shift my hand at all. They fit right next to each other. So I'm just going to get comfortable with that. Just that there I find is a very helpful way to just get these patterns and sounds into our hands. When I really feel like I know a scale or any bit of music really, I'm thinking on one level just the shape in my hand. I'm like, cool, if I get that down, I feel like I've internalized it. But not only that, the sound as well. So if I can like hear the sound of that pentatonic and correlate it to the shape my hand has, that's when I feel like I really have something internalized so I can use it. Same would be said about this Lydian dominant. I'm thinking about the sound that it produces as well as the shape in my hand. So, and I think a way to do that is when I'm practicing scales, I'm doing my best not only to internalize the shape and the fingering, but also the sound it's producing. So I'm really trying to hear that and internalize it. So now that we have these two threads, we can start just jamming around. So I'll show you how I kind of thread these two sounds together. So I'll start off with pentatonic and then jump in to that altered sound, or C sharp Lydian dominant. So here's the pentatonic. Alt. Back to pentatonic. So you can hear that tension that comes up there. A couple things that I'm thinking about here are points to thread them together. I think about where these patterns kind of overlap, right? So if I'm looking at the pentatonic, and then here's my Lydian dominant again. I notice that the fifth, or G, that's a point of intersection. So maybe that's where I'll use a transition from the pentatonic sound to the alt sound. So I'll show you what that looks like. So that's pentatonic, and then when I land on this note, I'm transitioning into my other shape, and then back to pentatonic. So let me do that a little faster here. that's one access point. Another place where I see these scales overlapping is on that G string there. So I can use that as a transition point as well. So here's what that looks like. Pentatonic, alt, and then back there. So I was using that as a pivot point between the two sounds as well. So something I'm using to try to just get some music out of this too is some triad or like arpeggio shapes through that Lydian dominant. Something like these little triad sounds. I think they sound so cool over that. So let's talk about this concept a little broader now and break down some of the theory around it. Okay, so where I'm pulling this C-sharp Lydian dominant is really from the G alt scale. So I'll go ahead and play that. So there's my G alt scale. That's one way to play it, where I play it with the shift in my left hand. And now I'll play it where I just drag my finger out of that one finger per fret. Here's an alternative way to play it. So here's some of the theory behind this. So if C minor is my 1, oftentimes the 5 will be a G dominant chord. This tension resolution. We see it all the time in jazz. We see it all the time in pop music. Most music really has a lot of this 5 or tension to resolution. Right. Even if the band is not playing 5 chord, you can still, even if they just stay on C minor the whole time, you as a soloist though can imply this dominant or tension sound. The alt scale gives us the most tense dominant sound that we have. It's a way to just access all this tension. So if I play G, even if the band again is just playing C minor, if I play G alt scale over that C minor, I get all those tension notes. What we're doing is going between that tension and resolution, really. So how does that connect to our C-sharp Lydian dominant now? How does G alt scale connect to that? So G alt scale, if I go up a half step from G alt scale, I get the A flat melodic minor scale. I'll play that for you too. Just like our major scale, if you're familiar with the concept of modes, if we take any group of notes and just start in a different place of the scale, we get a completely different harmony and a completely different sound out of it. So G alt scale, if I take those same exact notes and just play a half step above, I get A flat melodic minor. And melodic minor is a system much like the major scale that we can pull all this sound, all these scales out of. So if I play, I'm on my A flat melodic minor here. If I go to my 4th note of A flat melodic minor and play the same exact notes, I'm going to go ahead and put that note down a half step. We now get this C sharp or D flat Lydian dominant sound out of A flat melodic minor. So it's the same notes as melodic minor, A flat melodic minor, same notes as G alt. But the reason that I like to focus on this scale initially to get this sound into the playing is it's just a half step away from my tonic, or C minor in this case. So, C sharp, Lydian dominant, same exact notes as G alt, just in a different arrangement. And for me, in the way my mind works, I can think of the alt scale as this long flowing thing across the fretboard. But it took me a while to get to that place, so it's easier to just start with a smaller grouping of notes. And being that this one is just a half step away from our tonic note, it's a really good way to just start getting that altered sound into your playing without having to go too deep. But eventually, yeah, we can play that's C minor pentatonic, like anywhere across the fretboard. And same with the G alt. And then resolution. But starting small with this little trick is a great way to just get the ball rolling with this concept. So